Hello out there, everybody. Today is the 3rd of March, and I would like to welcome you all to episode number 11, series 2 of Tunes from the Shop with Skip from beautiful Wohlen, Switzerland. I got quite a few comments yesterday and privately a lot more emails from people saying they really enjoyed hearing this older, I called it the South Tipperary style of flute playing. It's basically just an older regional style of flute playing from Ireland back in the day. Asked me if I could apply that to a couple of jigs, so we're going to have a couple of old South Tip jigs for you today. One relatively well-known tune, the first is called the Blooming Meadows, a 3-part jig in G. The second is a tune I've heard in American Fife and Drum a couple of times over the years, not a whole lot, but with the lovely title, When Sick Is It Tea You Want? So my long-lost cousin, Ronan Healy, a Kildare man living over in Belgium. I know that sounds like the beginning of the joke, but it's really true. Wrote to me yesterday that that's a lovely style of playing for dancing, and it is, after all, dance music, as he says. Absolutely correct. This older style of playing features a much more punchy style, where the little bit more modern style of flute playing, which you hear me do most of the time, has a lot more flow to it because of the different ornamentation that's used in the newer style as opposed to the older style. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration of that so you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go too deep in the weeds here. This first tune, the Blooming Meadows, I'm going to take 2 different sections of that tune just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. The third measure of this tune has an F-sharp quarter note followed by a low D 8th note and then a dotted quarter note low D. So that sounds... So how that tune would begin. So in the more modern style of flute playing, when you come to that F-sharp note and the 2 Ds, you usually do a little bit of a grace note on the F-sharp and a movement called a cran, which is a piping fingering that's been a piping technique that's been moved over onto the flute by Matt Malloy and players of his style. That would sound... So it keeps a very nice flow going through the tune. This little bit older, more dance-oriented, punchier style. You just would play accents on those notes. You see my fingers aren't moving at all. I'm doing a glottal stop, a little bit of a cough sound. That's not done with the tongue. That's done with controlling the air coming out of the flute. And so there's a lot of these kind of little micro pulses that you play throughout the tune in this older style. As I said, this is a 3-part tune going into the beginning of the 3rd part. There's a phrase that starts with a quarter note, 8th note, quarter note, 8th note, quarter note, 8th note. So on this, in the newer style, some people may play a short roll or a short cran on those short Ds. The older style, what you do is you would just, again, play little punches on those notes. Again, you see my fingers aren't moving on those notes. I'm doing that with pushing a little bit harder blast of air, kind of a little bit of what I mentioned before called a hard D. So, that's the lesson for the day. Let's see what the tune sounds like. demonstration of this older South Tipperary, or just older traditional Irish style of playing the flutes. Not so many ornaments, a much more punchy style, not a whole lot of finger movements, so much more triplets than rows and crayons, and a whole lot more punches on single notes to give it a much more accented, much more dance flavor to the tunes. Because as my cousin in Belgium, Ronan Healy, says, it's all about the dancing, isn't it? So there you go. Have a good day, everybody. As always, stay safe, protect yourself. If you're in Texas or you're in Missouri over in America, keep the masks on. Never mind what your governor says. Listen to your doctors. Cheers, everybody. See you again soon with a few more old tunes from the chop. Slán.